All right, everybody. I'm Dr. Jim Stepani, coming from my Hollywood gym, here with my business partner, Mike McElwain. Mike, where are you right now? Pismo Beach. Mike is currently
Yeah.
on the road, but as always, taking time to pop in and talk with the gym army. So thank you guys for joining us today. Today is an exciting live because we are celebrating, first of all, our 10-year anniversary of Gym Supplement Science, along with, Mike's got the 10-year shirt on, along with huge savings on all of our products site-wide at gymsubs.com, 25% off everything, including the new products that we're launching that we're going to talk about today, like the Gym Probio probiotic blends, and I'll get into that in a little bit, in just a bit. But one of the things that we wanted to do was sort of celebrate the gym brand, and just talk a little bit about the history. Mike, I'll let you jump in if you've got anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jim. And so we were supposed to be doing this in the same place, but the schedules, Jim and I are all over the place with family and of course with the brand. So, but no matter what, we're still able to kind of get together because we have a good team that allows us the opportunity to do it. I think you said it, Jim. I think 10 years.
Wow. Yeah.
It, it's pretty interesting because, you know, I think about when you and I first met, we were at Muscle and Fitness
Yeah.
together
Mike
for
and I
10
go
years.
way back before 10 years for the Gym JYM brand, when we were at Muscle and Fitness together. And together with Mike, it was Mike's idea to launch gymstepani.com long before I had any digital capabilities or understanding. Mike was pushing the digital concept of teaching people, and was a workout trainer back then. What was it called? Workout.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would be long
Yeah.
before I had gymstepani.com. Mike had workouttrainer.com, a fitness website that he launched on his own with one of our star employees. I'd say more than just an employee. My God, Jimmy Card. Mike was basically downstairs. I was upstairs at Weeder. Downstairs was the ad sales team in the publishing department. I was upstairs with the editorial and the art team. And Mike would come into my office with all these questions about training. Little did I know that he actually had degrees in exercise science. He would ask me things about bands, and this is going back to what, 2003, maybe 2002. I started in 2002 officially at Weeder in the offices. Before that, I was at Yale School of Medicine, writing and doing science editing for the magazines. But this goes back 20 years, Mike. We're not just celebrating this 10-year
No.
10-year anniversary of Gym Supplement Science, but 20 years of working together, and really changing the course of fitness in the way that we know fitness. And in fact, this isn't to brag, but like I said, Mike got me into the digital side, and as soon as I understood the cable, I'm digitally, I'm a complete moron. I can barely get my phone to work. So Mike brings all that background along with our team. But, now you have millions of fitness influencers on a majority of platforms with social media. But long before that, Mike told me I should be doing videos. And as soon as he said that, I was a science editor and writer. And so I was teaching people through the magazines. If you guys remember back then, when people would pick up a magazine to get their information, now hardly anybody picks up anything in print, right?
Right.
But I was using print to try to teach people how to do exercises with still photos and a description. And as soon as Mike taught me, look, we can do this digitally through video, instantly understood and the way I sort of explain it to people is, think about teaching your child or anyone how to tie their shoe, right? Would you be able to do that with still photos and written text? Sure, you could, but wouldn't be much easier to teach it in a video format. And as soon as he had me doing videos, I immediately understood the 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 magnitude, the way that this would help people. And despite the publishers at Muscle and Fitness, they didn't want us to go online because
Right.
they thought it would cannibalize the magazines. And we're like, no, this is going to bring more people and it's going to educate more people. So long before there were fitness, nowadays when people ask what I do, I explain to them, well, I'm one of those fitness people, you know, uh, on social media. But really, I've been doing this long. I wasn't just somebody who popped on with my phone and decided to start teaching people. I've been doing this first in print, then in video when there was only Facebook and YouTube, and Twitter came along. We jumped on that, and I used that as a great platform to answer people's questions. But we've been doing this a long time. So although we're celebrating 10 years of gym supplement science, and we'll get into how we started the brand, we're really celebrating 20 years of working together here, and really changing the fitness industry and the way it's influenced people's lives. So I'll pause for a second.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mike wants to add.
Well, I don't know how much I can add to that. But yeah, I hope I'm coming across clear. I know there might be some glitches.
No, you're perfect on my end.
But yeah, but Jim and I have been doing this for a long time together. And, the thing I've always said is that I'm the luckiest person in the world because I represent the consumer who has questions. I represent the consumer who's looking for answers. I represent the consumer who doesn't know everything. And I consider myself very fortunate because I was in the position, and Jim and I have talked about this before. Jim's funny, you guys. He really is, because when we talk about ideas and stuff, sometimes Jim will say, well, I, I, I don't understand what you're saying because I'm not the consumer. And I tell him, I said, well, yeah, Jim, you're not looking for yourself. You're the source. I'm looking for somebody like you. And, I think that's what makes it such a great relationship, is because I've always been able to take that position and say, this is what I want from you. This is what I want to be able to learn from you. I want a workout that is your workout, that is in this app that I can follow, that when I click on it, it's Jim telling us how to train. When I want to supplement, I don't want anything from at the time it was the Muscle Techs and the Gasparis and the BSNs and the Champion Nutritions and the Cytosports, because quite honestly, I would take those and I would bring them up to Jim's office every day. And when he says I would come into his office, it was more like I would knock on a locked door and he'd say, who is it? and then I would, he'd always open it for me. But it's been a very fortunate process. I think, at least I'm speaking for myself, in the sense that I got lucky, but I love building things around somebody who is just all about the consumers and is just all about doing the right thing by the consumers, because that was the problem that Jim and I faced at Muscle and Fitness, was a constant fight to try and service the consumers in the best way possible. Because for Jim and myself, it wasn't always about the best way to try and make money for the magazine. Making money for the magazine and servicing the consumer should go hand in hand. but they didn't always do that at times. And so we were definitely ahead of the times in terms of trying to service the consumers. And we did that first, as Jim said, through the app, through jimstepani.com. And, you know, my generation was being brought into this website and these new things called the iPhones and the apps. And so fortunately, you know, James Card and myself were able to kind of build around that. But it was nice because we had this oracle of fitness and this dichotomy of a PhD research scientist from Yale, but he's tatted. And I didn't even know you had a tattoo for, I think it was like 4 or 5 years. And there's a funny story behind that, but it's been an honor, you know, and I think the time at Muscle and Fitness trying to do things under a very well-known brand and you and I being able to see kind of like what the next evolution would hold for you and I really, but then also the consumers and the opportunity to work together. And the greatest partnership, I think, because there's confidence and trust, I think, on either side. I know that Jim, when it comes down to, you know, some of the things that we have to do on the business side and some of the things that we're talking about, I appreciate the fact of the trust that you've kind of given me and the entire team. You know, I'm speaking on behalf of the entire team, and we have a great team. And you know, but it is interesting because the landscape has changed. And you know, what we've seen now with the evolution of the social media platforms and the existence of paid influencers, and that's really what's going on. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just it creates a little bit of chaos. And so when you are trying to find a brand and an expert who is rooted for 20 years, guys, you know, 20 years that I've been in this industry, Jim has been at the helm. And there has not been anybody, and I've worked with just about everybody. I know Jim has too. And so when it comes to expertise in this space, whether it's training, nutrition, and of course supplementation, there is a real PhD in the room who has real expertise. And that's one of the many reasons why we started, was to try and correct some of the things that were going on during, you know, our time at not only the magazines, but then shortly thereafter. And so the Jim brand has stood for integrity, and it stood for all the things about making sure that it is scientifically backed formulas created by a real scientist, utilizing real ingredients. And the results, you know, Jim, quick story, just happened yesterday. I was talking with somebody, and, you know, they said, you know, I've been taking supplements for years, and I always was, you know, going back and forth between brands because sometimes things wouldn't work. And they were speaking specifically on protein powder. And they said, you know, but Mike, ever since I started taking your guys' products, I have never felt, and this guy's in his, like, he's about 42, 43. He said, and I have never felt better in my entire life just from changing to your protein. Been on it for about a year now. And he said, you know, this is 20 years of taking stuff. And he said, I've seen it all. And he says, I have never felt better in my life when I started just taking your protein powder. Of course, I gave him some alpha. But you know, it's a real
We hear
tribute.
that story over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, which is, you know, so rewarding to be able to, you know, not just have a successful business, but to be able to help thousands and thousands and thousands of people, whether it's through the programs, whether it's through just little tips, video tips, or it's through the actual products. And in fact, like you were saying, that's the reason we started Gym Supplement Science. To be selfish,
Yeah.
you know, we really started for ourselves because there was nothing going back 10 years. 10 years ago, a lot of people won't remember this, but the pre-workouts were 3 to 5 gram doses, tiny little doses of just stimulants. And they were
Right.
actually supplement companies claiming, which is a complete lie, that their 500 milligrams of branched chain amino acids was super concentrated and was equivalent to 5 or 6 grams, and which is complete BS. All they were, like I said, was just stimulants and lies. And the problem is that I had to review these products and recommend them to the readers of Muscle and Fitness, and there were no products that I could genuinely recommend that they take other than just you know, plain single ingredients, creatine, beta alanine. In fact, the pre-gym formula that we know today started as a recipe. I would tell them, to put this much creatine
Right.
hydrochloride in there, this much beta alanine, betaine, this much branched chain amino acids, and it tasted horrible. Um, but it was effective. And so that is why, the main reason that the Gym Supplement Science brand took off. A lot of people, like Mike was saying, with all the fitness influencers, almost everybody has their own supplement brand now. And, one of the reasons is they saw, how quickly this brand took off, and everybody tried to sort of piggyback on that success. And of course, they don't have the same success. There's many brands that tried that and failed. We can go on and list individuals who tried to follow in those footsteps. But the reason that this brand was different, not just because we did it first, but it's because the products that you get are based on the recommendations that I was making to people
Right.
for decades with just single ingredients. Like I said, here's how you make your pre-workout. And then people started asking me, why don't you just make your own brand? And that's when Mike said, this is what you should be doing. And then the rest is history. So again, it's a little selfish that we started this mainly to be able to make, pre-workouts
Well,
that I would take, a protein powder that wasn't spiked. Remember protein
right.
spiking, where they put taurine in there to raise the nitrogen content so that they claim that there was more protein. We literally started this so that we and my followers and friends and family could have supplements that they could trust. And like I said, the rest is really history.
Well, in Jim, the and this is 100% truth, and Jim knows this, but talking about protein spiking, we actually had this is what's really cool about, I think, the way that we were able to get the message out. That's a complicated topic, protein spiking, for the most part. But we launched Pro Gym, and I'll never forget, you and I were sitting in your front yard filming, talking about, and Jim was trying to explain to me protein spiking, about the nitrogen content and the amino acids and all these different ways that you could basically lower the whey protein by adding cheap amino acids to where you could list 24 grams of protein, but that protein wasn't coming from whey. So I'll never forget
Or
Jim
even
said,
amino acid, like it would be, it's fine if it was branched chain amino acids that they were adding, but it's typically amino acids like taurine that aren't for muscle building.
lysine, or yeah. And I said, well, Jim, how, I remember, and I said, how are we going to talk about this? How are we going to tell people? And he just, and it was like, you could tell he was teaching me. We already had the brand. The brand was already started. Like, we're already in business. We're already this partnership. And here, the other guy doesn't know what protein spiking was, but I was learning, and I'll never forget that. I call them now aha moments. And that aha moment connected when Jim said, turn the label around and write down here, if you see any ingredients ending in INE, chances are there's a pretty good chance it's spiked. Soon as he said that, it was like, let's shoot that video. And that video, I mean, it pretty much, look, it hurt a lot of brands, because a lot of brands out there, that's what they were doing. And the lawsuits followed, and some of these other
Yeah,
things.
oh yeah, we got sued. We got so many
Yeah.
enemies because we were telling the truth.
Right.
Because we were one, if not the only brand that could actually tell the truth because we were doing it the right way.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, when we launched this brand, everybody told us there's no way you'll be able to do this. In fact, before we launched the brand, Muscle and Fitness Magazine wanted to create their own supplement line. So obviously they wanted me to formulate. And I let them know, like, look, we've written in the magazine how much creatine should be in your pre-workout, how much beta alanine, how much betaine, how much branched chain amino acids, how much citrulline malate. The product that we create has to follow those standards that we've already put into print. And when they saw the price that it would cost to make those products, they said, there's no way we can do this. And they wanted to cheapen it. And I said, well, you're not going to get any help from me. And that's, that was another sort of point that pushed Mike and myself into creating our own brand where we could do it the right way. And like I said, when we launched Pre-Gym, every other brand who were friends at the time until we started beating them in sales, then they became enemies, but they were friends at the time because we worked for the magazines where they had to advertise in. They told us, you'll never make a dime. Your products are going to be too expensive. Nobody can afford them. And Mike and I said, well, we're going to bet on results. We're selling results here. We're not selling products. We're selling results. And that's the sad state of the supplement industry. And it still is to this day, is that when somebody markets when they make a product, the first thing that goes into how much they're going to spend is their marketing budget. Okay.
Right.
At Gym Supplement Science, the marketing budget, there's not even a marketing budget that goes into factoring that. It goes into what ingredients will work the best at what doses.
Right.
And that's simply it. That's simply it. And I'll admit it's tough because the margin that we make when we sell this product, this Pre-Gym X or Alpha Gym or Pro Gym, our margin is minuscule compared to the competition because what they spend on making the product is oftentimes a fourth of a quarter of what we put into our product. So we don't make nearly as much money per product as another brand, but the thing that we do have that other brands don't have is a massive amount of repeat customers because they get results. And even the people that would switch off of Pre-Gym and go to another pre-workout or Pro Gym and then switch over, they come right. And in fact, I recommend you do that. If you've been taking gym and you want to see just how effective gym is and you've been doing it for years, switch over to another brand that looks good. I guarantee you'll be back immediately.
Yeah. And a great example, because this is some of the stuff that has happened with this new social media stuff, is Jim really broke the mold with exposing proprietary blends and, where they would list ingredients, but not the dose. And that was the standard when we first started. We were the first brand to, I would say, successfully, I'm not saying we were the only brand to have a proprietary or a non-proprietary blend, but we were one of the only ones. And then we were the only one who actually succeeded because of that, in spite of all the other stuff. So you don't see a lot of that these days, especially with pre-workouts. A lot of brands are doing it, but Jim did a video many years ago, and this was another thing. And actually it was a video because the very first page that was launched with Pre-Gym, there were a couple points. There was no proprietary blends. That was the first video we did, and Jim had a little paragraph about what that meant and why it was important. No concentrates. Did a video about that, why that was important. There was one video, though, I think, that is more relevant today than even it was back then. It was abbreviated formulas. And now you see a lot of that because brands have kind of caught on. Consumers have caught on. Well, I got to list the ingredients and the dose because there's so much noise that, this one brand, Gym Supplement Science, has been making about it. Got to list the ingredients. Can't, there might be a few brands out there with like, the serving size of a pre-workout, under 10 grams even. But now what brands are doing, to Jim's point about the expense that is this, is, we've talked about the 5 must-have ingredients in a pre-workout. But there's 2 ingredients most brands leave out. And they've done a pretty decent job with some of their influencers saying how these 2 ingredients really aren't necessary in a pre-workout because there's no acute effect. And that's branched chain amino acids and creatine. They don't put them in their pre-workouts. And when you look at the cost from the business side, those are the 2 most expensive ingredients that are in this or any pre-workout. So other brands just leave them out. And you can save, to Jim's point, you can save, 20 points, 20% on your pre-workout just by removing those 2. So you see a lot of that these days. And Jim, look, we've had discussions about, it being cost effective and how we can be as cost effective as possible. And I will say that one thing that Jim always reminds everybody, including myself, because a lot of times when you're talking about the business and the profitability of the company, how we have to invest and who we have to hire and how we have to market, you start thinking about like, well, gosh, what can we do to try and change a few things? And, Jim always has a really good solution, like for the protein, for example. We always liked bags because we started with bags, but that was actually that was a cost saving. So because we wanted to protect the integrity of the actual product. So the one thing that at least Dr. Stepani has always done has made sure that the integrity of the formulas is intact. And I will say, everything that comes across, I don't get involved in the formulation game, but Jim is he's very bullish when it comes to the formulas. And you will not find that with any other brand, because without Dr. Stepani, I'm telling you guys, it's very easy. I've been involved in a lot of those conversations with manufacturers, with suppliers, with retailers. Why don't you guys just take this out? Why don't you
just use whey protein concentrate instead of isolate?
Yeah. Why don't you guys just use concentrate? You'll save $5 per tub. And Jim asked me, he goes, well, Mike, would you take it if it was concentrate? Nope. Then why would we do it?
Precisely.
Yeah.
I won't ruin again. It's for the consumer, but it's also selfish. It's because I use the products, I formulate them for myself. And back to Mike's point about taking the branched chain amino acids out, where they say a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. The thing that the problem with most supplement brands is that they're formulated by marketers. And they simply look at what are the hot ingredients on the market. Let's throw those in there, right? So with branch chains, if you really don't know much about branch chains, then you think it's all about the leucine, turning on muscle protein synthesis. And true, yes, that's what branch chain amino acids do in a post-workout. After you've trained, that's when the leucine is used to spike muscle protein synthesis. But before you train, the branched chain amino acids are an energy source for the muscle. And specifically here, pre-workout, the branched chain amino acid valine is the MVP in your pre-workout. Leucine in the post-workout is the MVP. But the branched chain amino acid valine actually inhibits the uptake of tryptophan in the brain, okay? And what tryptophan does is it turns into serotonin. It gets converted into serotonin. Now, we all know what serotonin is, right? It's a feel-good hormone, right? But you don't want that during your workout because it makes you lethargic and fatigued. So if you're taking out the branched chain amino acids in your pre-workout, it's formulated by somebody who doesn't understand the benefits and the biochemistry of branched chain amino acids. Okay, that's the reason they're taking it out. And then, like Mike was saying on the protein, right? even in our protein bars, and you guys, those of you who've seen the gym bar that we had, that came out, well, due to COVID and sourcing issues, we had to discontinue the bar. The manufacturer can no longer make it. The main problem is because we will not accept any
Concentrate.
protein concentrate. Why? Because protein concentrates have higher lactose. Okay. And the majority of people, myself included, are very lactose intolerant. So if you're taking a protein powder and it gives you stomach issues,
That's why.
turn the label around. Like Mike was saying, look under the ingredients. And if there is any form of protein concentrate, specifically whey protein concentrate, you're getting more lactose than you need. And that's why we won't waver on that. We will not. We've had bar manufacturers who refuse to work with us and make us a bar
Right.
because they can't create a coating out of whey protein isolate. They need to use whey protein concentrate because it has more carbs, more lactose.
Yeah.
It holds up better. It's easier to work with those carbs than a pure protein source like whey protein isolate. And we will not waver on that. And that's why, for those of you who've been following us for so long, why you'll see other brands come out with new product, new product, new product, new product, new product, new product,
There's no
new product. It's because their standards are way down here. Our standards are up here. So when we're working on a new product, it has to, all the boxes need to be, it's got isolate. It has to have this much of these ingredients. And that's what makes it so hard to do. In fact, a little story about our mass gainer. When we were working with the mass gainer, we were looking at carb sources. I asked one of the suppliers, can I have a breakdown on the glycemic index and the type of carbohydrates in this carb source? And they asked me why I would want to know that. And I said, I'm shocked that no one else has asked you for that in the entire time that you guys have been doing this. I'm offended. And again, it gets to the bottom. Gets to the source of the problem right there. Is the many brands are simply marketing machines that are in this to make a buck. Okay. The supplement industry is what? How many? $1 billion industry, right? So 99% of the companies that get into this industry are simply trying to get in it to make their buck, to cash in. And this brand has never been about that. It's literally, like I said, from a selfish standpoint, it's making products that will help me at my age, 55. We've been doing this for a long time, back when I was 45, continue to be my healthiest, my strongest, my most athletic as I go, and also to provide that to the consumer, something you can trust, something you can feel the difference, something you can get true results on, something that you're confident that the people behind it have your best interest in mind. Sadly, there's few other brands like us. And you can point me out and say, oh, you're just saying that because you own the company, but it's sadly, I wish it wasn't the case, because if you asked me 15 years ago if I would ever start my own supplement brand, I would say absolutely not. I know
Right.
nothing about business, right? But when we started it, it was because we had to. The supplement industry had gotten so out of hand with the crap in the marketing BS that we needed to make products that we could take ourselves and that the consumer could trust and have good products. So, uh,
right.
you
And
know,
that's and you're right, Jim. And for those of you who know about the bar, if you remember why it was so should say, delicate, was because of what Jim just said. Even in the ingredients. Now, a lot of manufacturers say, well, the whey protein concentrate in here isn't it's not going to be a measurement for the protein source. Like, so when you claim, it's got 20 grams of protein, it's not coming from concentrate, but just concentrate in the coating. But because the whey protein concentrate legally has to be listed as an ingredient in the supplement facts panel, Jim and I both were like, do you realize that the level of questions and concerns because we've drawn a line in the sand about that just by having it as an ingredient, not a protein source, but just as an ingredient in the coating to hold it together. We're like, we're not going to do it. Manufacturers are going, everybody else does, so it,
Yeah, everybody else does.
Everybody else does.
Everybody else does. And the nice thing is they would say, like, we really respect your ethics, but we think you're kind of stupid because everybody else is doing it. And we're like, well, we have a lot of people that we cannot let down. And that, like I said, doing the right thing is not letting those people down, no matter what the cost is, But, I just want to bring back the 10-year and remind everybody that we're celebrating until, what is it, mid-July, the 24th or so, 25% off.
The official 10 years is on the 19th, but
Right, that is when we launched pre-gym. The original, we started with pre-gym. That was our original and like I said, I never intended to start a supplement brand. Even when we started Gym Supplement Science, we never intended to launch a protein powder.
No.
Because again, back at the time, Optimum Nutrition owned the protein world, and we were told you would never be able to make a product that's going to beat them and make enough money. But then protein spiking got out of hand, and that's when we said, you know what? We've got to do this. We have to do our own protein to set the record straight so that people could understand what a true protein looks like. And, we didn't come out with just a plain whey protein. We came out with a blend. We do have the IsoGym now, the pure whey protein, but the reason we came out with the blend is because what the research shows. And again, this is the reason. A lot of people will tell you whey protein is the best protein source. And I say, yes and no. Whey protein is great because it's very fast digesting, but that's also its downfall. It's too fast. You need those slower proteins, the casein that's in ProGym, to extend your muscle protein synthesis for longer. And the research shows it enhances protein synthesis, and also research shows in long-term studies that people build more muscle when they're getting a protein blend versus whey protein isolate. But people will still go on and on about whey protein is the best because they don't understand the science. So for those gym army people who've been with us for 10 years, we don't have to sell them on anything. They understand that when you have somebody who understands the science and the application of it and is using it for themselves, it's a whole different world when it comes to supplements and what you can expect. But again, back to the 25% off right now. We have 25% off absolutely everything. And if you spend $175 or more, we'll throw in the gym limited edition 10 years a shaker cup for free. And then,
I just like the logo. I just think that,
I love it. We also have coming in a few weeks is the gold. And this is, what is this? The ice shaker.
Yeah.
Which is nice because if you have any of our blender bottle metal ones that are insulated, this is insulated too, but it also has a rubber bottom, which our blender bottle doesn't. And it has this built-in what do you want to call it, whisker, if you will, to break up the protein clumps that can be in or taken out.
Make sure you screw it in washings.
Right. So this will be coming out in a few weeks. And then today we're launching another brand new product, the Gym Probio, which is our probiotic blend. Now, if you turn this around, this is one of, if not the only probiotic blend. We've got 11 different probiotics in here. Okay, there we go. You can see it in more detail. So if you look at the total dose, you're getting 30 billion colony forming units. Okay.
What is that?
probiotics go, that is a massive dose. You'll see a lot of probiotics with 1 billion, maybe 3 billion, maybe 5, maybe 10, but with 30 billion. And then we list each one out so that you know exactly what you're getting. And then I like to call out one of the MVPs of this, like I was saying with branched chain amino acids. Post workout, your MVP is leucine. Pre workout, it's valine. Here in our probiotic, obviously all these different probiotics. The reason we have so many different probiotics here is because each probiotic provides a different benefit, as the research shows. And so instead of just focusing on one type of probiotic, we're putting in 11. And like I said, one of the ones I'd like to call out is the Bacillus coagulans. And we have a history of Bacillus coagulans because the research going way back over 10 years ago showed that when you take Bacillus coagulans along with protein, the amount of amino acids you absorb is increased. And I don't mean just a little, it's increasing your uptake of branched chain amino acids by over 25%. It's increasing the uptake of citrulline by over 100%. That's a doubling, more than a doubling of what you would normally, if you took a dose of citrulline, right? And then you took it with the Bacillus coagulans, the Bacillus coagulans will double the amount of citrulline your body will take up. Same for glutamine as well. It'll more than double the amount of glutamine your body is able to absorb. So for those of you who don't understand what probiotics do, okay, you're probably thinking you've heard the ads for what
Gut
are those?
health,
Yeah,
right?
you've heard the ads for all those other probiotics talking about gut health and, oh, your stomach doesn't feel good, try this, right? So most people who are sports minded or performance minded or muscle building minded think that a probiotic, it's low on the totem pole for them, right? They want to get their branched chains, they want to get their protein, their creatine, their beta alanine. Those are what they focus on. But you really want to consider focusing on a good probiotic blend, because here's what happens. So if you've taken antibiotics, right, you have in your intestines, okay, you have trillions, literally trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi. uh, However, there's good and there's bad, okay? There's good microorganisms and there's bad. The good microorganisms help your body digest food, okay? They help to enhance your immune system as well. But oftentimes, like I said, if you've taken antibiotics or you have a poor diet, you eat a lot of sugar, processed foods, etc., what happens is the bad bacteria starts overcrowding the good bacteria. Okay. Now, you may think, well, I don't have any stomach issues, right? I don't have, everybody thinks it's got to be, oh, I've got bloating, I've got diarrhea. No, you may have a less than optimal digestive system without even knowing it, which means when you have a meal, like I said, you're not absorbing all those amino acids. So if your goal is building muscle and your gut microorganisms are not in the proper balance, then you're shortchanging your results. You're not able to absorb all those amino acids, all those nutrients that you need to be building muscle. When you take a properly formulated probiotic, it helps to overcrowd the bad bacteria with the good bacteria that you're getting here, so that you can start having an optimal digestive system, meaning you're going to start absorbing more of those critical nutrients that are going to help you build muscle, build strength, enhance endurance, performance, etc. And like I said, this is, if not the only, one of the few, if not the only non-proprietary
Right.
blends. Like I said, we have 11 different probiotics so that you can get the benefits of all those different probiotics. And like I said, it's going to make a huge difference on your ability to digest the food that you're eating and nutrition, right? Everybody says nutrition is the biggest factor in getting results. If your gut microorganisms are off balance, then like I said, you're shortchanging your own results. In fact, we're just launching this now, but we're able to have this, for months before the consumer gets this. And I've been taking this for months now and have noticed a big difference, again, in my digestive health as well. Like I said, most people will see a similar benefit. And the nice thing is with the sale now, you can get this with 25% off as well as everything else. What am I drinking here? This is Pre-Gym X, our brand new flavor, Dragonberry.
Same.
Yeah, which is a
I got
combo of
this. I
dragon
have.
fruit and strawberry. Okay. If you're familiar with dragon fruit, you'll uh love this flavor. And I love the bottle. It's got the dragon eyes on there for Dragonberry. So well, when is this one launching? I think it's going to be on the 19th at
The
GNC
19th.
and gymsups.com. July 19th, you'll be able to get this new flavor.
GNC is has a little bit of a head start. So there are specific GNCs. So for those of you who are looking for Dragonberry, go into GNC and ask for it. Sorry about that. Many of them have it, but not all. So if you're looking to get the Dragonberry, you can head in, but officially on the 19th, it launches, and it is an amazing flavor. Real quick, Jim, about some of the different stuff on top of some of these new things. There are some other things that we have going on aside from just the products, but we're bringing on, some people, like we just recently brought on Gunnar Peterson, who has kind of been added to the, kind of the list of people who we want to align ourselves with.
And we've known
spread the
Gunnar as long
messaging.
as we've known each other, I think 20 years as well there.
Yeah. And, and Milo Sarshev has been with us for about a year now as well.
And let me
but
just
these
back
are,
up on Gunnar for a second. For those of you who don't know him, he's an amazing trainer. He's gotten Sylvester Stallone ready for all his roles. He's worked with the Kardashians. For those of you who follow pop culture, um, and many major athletes as well, from Olympic athletes to professional athletes, getting them ready for competition, movies, musicians for tours, etc. So he he thinks the same way that we do. It's really about getting people results, and that's why it's so great to have him on board. And then with Milos, I have to say, Milos Sarcev, who's was a IFBB pro bodybuilder, very top level, has competed in the Mr. Olympia numerous times. When I was a competing bodybuilder, and again, I never made it to the pro level like Milos did. I competed, at the Collegiate Nationals, Junior USA. That's as high as I made it. But he was a huge hero of mine when I was an up and coming bodybuilder. And so to have him on board, and again, just like Gunnar, just like myself and Mike, he's all about results. Like I said, science is great, but I will tell you, I am not a scientist who reads a study and goes, oh, well, the study says this is what it means. There's many flawed studies, many flawed studies. It's about what works in the real world. You have to take the studies with a grain of salt. Anybody who just tells you about the study without actually trying it in the real gym is misleading you, because like I said, there's no perfect study. And with Milos, he, like I said, while he's not a scientist, he's very well educated. But it's all about getting people results, and that's why I love having these two on the gym team now.
Yeah, it's been awesome, to kind of see the expansion of what we've been able to do, and who we've been able to align ourselves with. And there's so many new things that we have coming out. Um, I want to talk about them all, but I know that we can't just yet, just because until things are usually settled in the sense of new things. There's a lot that we have up on the shelf. Um, Jim, I know, has been very adamant about, making things in a more convenient style of consumption in terms of some of the products. So you guys are going to see, new things, especially in the coming months and in partnerships with some of these folks like Gunner, Milos as well. And, I want to personally just thank, number one, you, Jim. It's been an amazing experience for 10 years. We've been through a lot. We've battled some pretty heavy battles, uh, and, I think when you go up against the industry, in any industry, and you do something like what we've been able to accomplish in the last 10 years, it's never easy. But I think, you and I are both the type that we don't lie down for anybody. I think when it gets tougher, we get better. And, but I want to just, number one, I want to thank you. And I also and I know you want to thank, I know who you want to thank, is that Jim Army. And I also want to thank, GNC, specifically, like the Kevin Malaberties of the world, Vitamin Shop, and, and some of the partnerships that we've had. But, it's been a ride, and it's been very, very good, but very difficult, and there's a lot more to come. But I just want to thank our consumers. Um, I'm not gonna take the mic from you on that note, because I know that you probably really want to thank that Jim Army. But I echo everything Jim is about to say, to that group of people. But
Yeah,
I just want to thank you very much.
100%. First, I'd like to thank Mike as well. Without you, I'd still have a website. That jimstepani.com would be a website to go to. If you'd like to contact me for speaking engagements or training, contact me at blah blah at Gmail. That was as far as I got digitally, and he really taught me how to bring my advice and my workout programs to life digitally. So I wouldn't be here without Mike. So thank you first and foremost. And then, yes, the Gym Army, not just the JYM Army, but the gym. Before we had Gym Supplement Science, we just had jimstepani.com. There was a Gym Army, JIM, Gym Army, the people that were following me, doing my programs and getting those results. You guys see them on social media all the time. The results that we get by the thousands, whether it was on bodybuilding.com, you're doing shortcut to size, shortcut to shred, all those very popular, but literally millions of people have done those programs alone.
Right.
And then all the ones we have on jimstepani.com, Super Shredded 8, the Giant program, Superman program, and you see those results over and over and over and over again. And those people thank me all the time, but I want to thank you guys because
Right.
Your results are my results, and we would not be here, without you. Like I said, Mike's on the road right now. I just got back from the road, driving up to Montana, see Yellowstone, the Zion National Park, and I met so many Gym Army members, at all these different. One night I'm in the parking lot unloading the camper, and somebody comes up. This is like night. This guy comes up to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to fight this guy, because who comes up to somebody at midnight in a dark parking lot? And he's like, oh my God, are you Jim Stepani? I so want to thank you for all the things that you've taught me. And every time, this is what I tell them. I said, no, I thank you because you are my boss, right? I don't technically have a boss that I have to answer to every day, like most people do, right? I'm sort of the boss. I own my own company. Mike and I are partners, but I, every single person who's tuning in, every single person who's done the programs, you're my boss because I'm here to help and please you. So you let me know when I'm doing a good job. So again, I want to thank that gym army and everybody who's watched my videos, who's done one of my programs, who's bought any gym products. You're the reason that we have been here for, again, the gym brand for 10 years, but the Jim Stepani brand for more than 20 years, still going strong after all these years. I'm 55 years old now. Um, and it makes me so happy and it's so rewarding to still be relevant in this space and be able to help people every single day. You know, that is really what it's all about, is the thousands and thousands, I'd say even millions of people that we've been able to help through the programs, through the advice, and through the product. So thank you guys. And like I said, this 25% off is our way of saying thank you, to give you a savings so that you can afford the right supplements that will give you those results. Can't hear you,
Well,
Mike.
I think, sorry. Well, I thank you guys, and echo everything Jim said. There's a lot more that's going to be coming with the next phase. I think, for the next steps in terms of where gym supplement science is going to go. And I know what you and I have planned for the brand. And I will say this, there aren't too many other brands out there, guys, where you just have two owners who started it, are still running it.
Yeah, we have
A
no
lot
investors. We have no
of-
board that we have to answer to with making money, and that's what keeps this brand real. Is it's the two guys that started it, the two guys that care about it, and the two guys that care about the consumers, and that'll never change.
Never, never. Well, Jim, I want to say thank you and apologies that I'm not there in studio with you. I'm up, in Pismo Beach at a baseball tournament with, a whole bunch of kids. But that's the other thing too, is the ability that this career has given me and my family to be able to do things like this. I can be a dad on the road
Exactly,
and
and
still
still
be,
run a business.
absolutely. And just want to thank you guys again. I mean, the thanks and gratitude are extended to everybody outside who has just supported us through so many years. And I just really just want to thank you, Jim. Truly, I just want to seriously thank you. It's been a ride, and I know that there's a lot more to come. And as I mentioned before, with giving me your trust and cultivating your formulas, your products, your programs to give the people the results that they're getting, it's a humbling and very rewarding experience that I get to share with my friends, my family, and the extension of the gym army too. So thank you guys very much.
Yes, thank you. And here's to another 10 years. We'll see you in 10 years to celebrate the 20-year
Right.
anniversary of Gym
Well,
Supplement Science. I'll be
and
65,
I
but I'll still be humming along because that's the nice thing. That, one of the nice things about this career is I'm not just telling people what to do, but I'm showing them, these are the benefits. This is the way you can live. This is what you can look like. This is what you can feel like at any age, whether it's 55, 65, 45, 35, or 25. And like I said, that's the most rewarding experience of this career, is seeing all those lives that have been changed for the better. So thank you guys. Thank you all. And thank you, Mike, for helping me help people. Literally, that's really what it's about. So thanks again.
Cheers to 10 years, guys. Thank you. Bye, John.
Thanks everyone. And make sure you head to jimsups.com. Like I said, till June 24th, I believe, we'll be running a 25% off literally everything on the site. Every single product, pre-gym, pro gym, alpha gym, vita gym, all the gear, the t-shirts, the shaker cups, everything is 25% off. So make sure you head over there and stock up now. All right, Mike. Well, thanks for stopping in. I know you're busy today, but I know that uh, you always have the time for the gym army. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Bye, Jim.
Bye, guys. Thanks again.